My dear friend, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur, my dear Chief Rabbi of Ukraine, Mr. Patriarch, Mr. Cardinal, Mr. Mayor of Kyiv, my friend Vitaly, it's a great honor for me to take part in this ceremony. Great pleasure to be back in Kyiv, and great honor to participate to this celebration. I'm very happy, first of all, to participate modestly in the celebration of the name of Metropolitan Andrey Sheptytsky. I know he is a controversial figure in Europe and in America, but I know also that he was one of the very rare, courageous, brave, and lucid voices in the darkness of the Holocaust. I know, and we all know, that how many Jewish children and adults he saved at the risk of his own life. I read again yesterday his pastoral letter of November 1942, "Thou shalt not kill," which was one of the really courageous gestures of solidarity toward the Jews, which was acted in these years. All Christians and all Jews know what he did in his regular contact with the Pope Pius XII, what Jan Karski tried to do with Roosevelt, he tried to do with Pope Pius XII. So for all these reasons, for me, it is the moment to say the debt that all Jews in the world, the moral debt, owe to Andrei Sheptytsky. I know that the Defamation League of Abraham Fox gave him its most prestigious award, the Jan Karski Medal, which is great. I know also that the Yad Vashem, for the moment, did not grant him the title of righteous among the nation, but as a grand rabbi here said this afternoon to me, the Yad Vashem may be wrong, but God knows what Sheptytsky did, what he deserves. And as for myself, I will try to plead in my country and in Israel for the memory and for the celebration of Andrei Sheptytsky. I'm happy also to contribute to the homage, to the role of the Jews on the Maidan, the role of the Jews of Ukraine during the revolution of the Euromaidan. It was not an easy task. They had to face a harsh propaganda telling them that Maidan was the result of a fascist plot, that extreme right gangs and bands were hijacking the Maidan. Those who at this very moment, at this time, practiced through anti-Semitism, Yanukovych, those who were about Putin today to rehabilitate the German-Soviet Pact of 1939, dared to say that the Ukrainian revolution was a fascist one. The Jews of Ukraine resisted this propaganda. They not only resisted, they proved by their very presence on the stage, on the barricades, that this propaganda was just ridiculous. The Jews of Kyiv paid the price of blood. 5 of them died out of the 82 victims of the Maidan. 5 of them are members of the Century Celeste, the Celestial Sotnia. They had Sotnia as themselves, as you know, better than me. So I'm happy to come here and to say that I am among those very numerous European and Westerners who know the price, the contribution of the Jews to the Maidan. In the history of martyrdoms, of sufferings, of genocides, there is 2 ways of acting. There is 2 paradigmas. There is the competition of victims, who is a sort of plague, an illness of the souls, and there is what Jan Patočka called the solidarity of the shaken. Not the competition, but the solidarity of the shaken. The Jews of Kyiv proved again how the solidarity of the shaken is a vibrant sentiment in this country. The solidarity between the 2 memories of Holodomor and Babi Yar. This solidarity was put into practice, was turned into real acts on the barricades, on the stage of Maidan, and I had the great honor to be myself witness of that. And I'm happy to say it again at this place. And of course, it's a great pleasure and great honor for me to contribute to the homage to a great Jew, Mr. Victor Pinchuk. We don't know each other, we never met before today. But we have a few friends in common. And I know through them, and since years, the record of Mr. Pinchuk. I know, of course, that he is a great Ukrainian patriot, which means a true European. To be a real Ukrainian patriot today means to be a true European. I know, of course, that he is a great philanthropist, belonging to the family of the Bill Gates, the Warren Buffetts, those who believe that they owe more than they deserve, that they have the duty to give back part of what they received. Mr. Pinchuk belongs to this very close club of these new builders of state, builders of civilization, which are today the philanthropists, today, which means in this time where the states become so weak, they contribute by their very existence and their gifts to the building of democracy. But I know also and foremost that Mr. Pinchuk is a great Jew. A great Jew means what? Means a sense of memory, which he proved by contributing so highly to the movie of Steven Spielberg about the Holocaust in Ukraine. Being a great Jew means also to be animated by the Ahavat Israel, the love of Israel, of Jewish people. I don't know Mr. Pinchuk, but all that I know about him since years says that he is, as Gershom Scholem told to Hannah Arendt in a very famous debate. Gershom Scholem denied Hannah Arendt having it. Mr. Pinchuk has what Gershom Scholem regretted that Hannah Arendt did not have, which is the love of Jewish people. And the love is not only a sentiment, it is a proof of every day. It is a worship, a daily worship, and he proves it by his life. And to be a great Jew means also to be, as another Jewish philosopher, Emmanuel Levinas, said, to be an affirmative Jew. We had, in the recent decades, in the last century, so many negative Jews, so many shameful Jews, so many shy Jews, so many Jews who were Jews inside, but never outside. The time has come, as Emmanuel Levinas says, of affirmative Jews, and Mr. Pinchuk is one of those affirmative Jews. And my feeling is that for this reason too, he more than deserves the award, the medal that you are going to give him today. This is what I wanted to tell you tonight. I wanted to tell you also very briefly that I'm French, a Frenchman speaking today again, as I did twice on the Maidan, in front of an Ukrainian audience. And I know that there is, at the present moment, a possible poison in the relationship between our two countries. There is a brotherhood between France and Ukraine, between the France of today and the Ukraine of today. President Hollande, as you know, and as Mr. Klitschko remembers well, was the first one to receive Vitaly and Petro Poroshenko before, when they were still competitors. Maybe Mr. Hollande reconciliated you, I don't know. But there is a poison, which is the affair of the Mistral boats. I want to tell you that in my country, I am only one of the very numerous people who believe that it would be impossible to understand, impossible to accept that this ship of war could be delivered in the current situation to the Russia of today, of Mr. Putin. A lot of French people believe that, and among those lot of French people, I must tell you that there is François Hollande himself. I spoke with him today, and I asked him what was going on with the Mistral, what was true in the rumors who come back and forth saying that they are at the edge of being delivered, like it was 2 weeks ago, and so on. President Hollande authorized me to tell you, first of all, as you know since a few hours, that the Russian sailors are forbidden access to the boat since yesterday morning. The Russian sailors who are supposed to take control of the boat are refused access to it. And he authorized me to tell you also that on this very sensitive question, and as long as the situation will be what it is, France will hold. France will stay on its present position. And that any other news, any other rumor is, at the moment, pure propaganda. I know also that I'm coming back in Kyiv in a very hard and dramatic time. 20 to 30,000 foreign soldiers are on your territory. Heavy weapons are circulating in the eastern part of your country. The ghost of division is not only a spectrum or a ghost, but becomes every day a more and more possible reality. You have in the Donbass, as you know, a little ridiculous Athens and Sparta, which dares to say, whose chiefs dare to say since a few days that they are not only here to defend, but to attack. This is a very dramatic situation, and I want to tell you that again, even if sometimes you feel that the sky is dark, that the support is lacking, I think that in France, in Europe, in America, where I was a few days ago, there is a real big number of people, maybe a majority of civil society, who is on the side of Ukraine against this possible revival of very old topics which worked in the 30s. You belong to me if you speak the same language as I do, and so on. I deeply feel that the bill which was just passed in Washington in the Defense Commission of the Senate, the Ukrainian Freedom Security Act, Support Act, the Ukrainian Freedom Support Act, which was passed through by two brave senators, one Republican and one Democrat. I have the feeling that when the time will come in a few weeks for the real passing and for the appropriation of this bill, there is a real chance to see it approved by a majority of the Senate and the Chamber of today. And I deeply feel that there is, in the public opinion of Europe, a real movement ready to follow that. I don't know what it will mean concretely, but I think that Putin is strong of our weaknesses, and that he might see soon that we are less weak than he believes, and that the Ukrainians are not as alone as he thinks. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is that I am an old friend of Russia and an old friend of Russian Jews. I campaigned during so many years for the liberation of Natan Sharansky and other Russian Jews in the 70s, 80s. And this cause is still very dear to my heart. And I want to tell you that I feel heartbroken when I hear some Jews of Russia, and not any Jews, sometimes the highest of them, like Mr. Burl Lazar, the chief rabbi of Russia, paying stupid homage to the dictator, taking act of his propaganda, and standing against their brothers in Ukraine. For a French Jew, for an American Jew, this image of the Russian Jews standing against the Ukrainian Jews is really heartbreaking. There are some pages in the War of the Jews of Flavius Joseph about the wiseness of the tyrants who know how to seed discord, to create conflict and war against Jews. This seems to prove against true. And a real Jew, an authentic Jew, an affirmative Jew as I am, cannot accept that. It's impossible to admit that a tyrann who is just manipulating history, who is supported by all the fascists and the extreme rightists in Europe, can manipulate the Jews of his country. Are they manipulated? Are they disinformed? Are they hostages? I don't know, but this is the situation. And in front of this situation, I would like, if you authorize me, to suggest the following, Mr. Chief Rabbi, my friends. Why not try to meet, to encounter, to speak between brothers, Russian Jews, Ukrainian Jews, not in Ukraine, not in Russia, of course, somewhere else, maybe in Jerusalem, maybe in France, maybe with the support of Mr. Victor Pinchuk, maybe with the support of a French foundation, a real encounter of the Jews of the two countries, discussing, putting all the issues on the table. If this happens, if somebody makes the proposal and if it is accepted, you will see in the battle, in the war which Putin declared to Ukraine, in the war in which he dared to enlist Jewry of his own country, he dared to mobilize his Jews in this war. In this war, if this encounter happens, it will be a first moral but great victory for liberty, for democracy, therefore for Ukraine. Thank you very much.